Well, tonight's sermon, talking about things off the spiritual topic, maybe. Tonight's sermon is on the Sasquatch. The name of the sermon is Return of the Yeti. And the reason why I call it Return of the Yeti as opposed to Return of the Sasquatch is because I save ink. Yeti is only 4 letters. I figured that out all by myself. I'm going to write David Suzuki. Of course, it takes a lot more ink to... It'll work out. He'll be happy. It's the thought that counts. Return of the Yeti. Now, the thing is, I never wrote a sermon called the Yeti, so why in the fuck is this one called Return of the Yeti? Well, okay, how about this? I did write a sermon called the Yeti, but you weren't there that week. I was tripping out in the middle of the woods. Do you remember? Who remembers back in mid-90s? This was when I was most popular with the younger kids. When I found this patch of magic mushrooms. And everybody wanted me to tell them where they were. Boy, the kids loved me. The snarkier the kid, the more they were affectionate towards me during that time. I can't remember exactly what I did with those fucking things, but I did not use them myself, nor did I tell any 13-year-old where to get magic mushrooms. Of course, that would have, it would have been all right. It would have been actual revival if I had told the kids. If I started supplying, you know how the Pentecostals and the Baptists and those people always talk about revival and everybody gets saved and the tavern shut down and that kind of thing, and they get 10,000 people coming. Well, if I told the kids where to get the magic mushrooms, I mean, we had 300 maybe, we would have had 3,000. It would have been very interesting. Situation, which never happened because I never got kids stoned on narcotics. Thank you. Case closed. I heard rumors that I did. I heard rumors that I was selling this shit. I heard so many rumors. I counted, I think it was 24 rumors, give or take. Rumors I heard about myself. You know, some of them it sounded like a lot of fun. I wish I'd been there. So, some of them were really strange. The best one though is I was down to eating Mr. Noodles. That's all I could afford, like 25 cents, right? 2 packs of Mr. Noodles. And I remember having my Mr. Noodles and coming to the first congregational, hear these kids talking about their parents saying that I was in it for the money. Like, I cannot afford to eat. If Jared were here, you know. Interesting universe. Return of the Yeti as opposed to the Sasquatch. And they're not the same thing. Does anybody know what the difference between a Yeti and a Sasquatch is?
Region? No.
Region has a lot to do with it. Snow, yes, which kind of falls under the category of region. Anybody else? You should know this shit. This is good stuff, especially living in Britain. You know.
Is that the size?
Yes. Exactly. See, I told you the British know everything. I mean, any country that could give us Elton John and Paul McCartney can do fucking anything. Yeah, a Sasquatch is apparently much bigger, and the Yeti is far more vicious. There's very few registered attacks of a Sasquatch on a human being, but Yetis, I think that kind of thing is just completely environmental. I think the reason why Sasquatch, they don't have a record of attacking people is because they see people with this thing called a gun, right? And they probably spying on us all the time. They watch us shoot the living fuck out of another creature and thinking, do I want that? No fucking way, man. And a Yeti, on the other hand, does not see people. It's in the middle of nowhere. People don't have guns, and it's like, yeah, that guy looks kind of delicious. You know, why not? It's a completely different scenario. I think it's environmental. You understand what I'm saying there? Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. Sasquatch, a biped that roams in remote parts of the world. here's the thing. Like, people say, oh, fuck, that can't exist. Why wouldn't we have discovered it? You know, in the last 20 years, 20, 30 years, we've discovered, like, I don't know, is it 2, 3, 4 different types of what do you call them, bipeds? Like, we discover this shit all the time. It's just that we're not discovering the one we're looking for. I mean, it's no big deal. We discover new species. I think I discovered a new species. Now, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Now, I'm not sure I discovered a new species, because who in the fuck knows? But I did look it up on the internet, and it wasn't there. And that is 1994, August. I was on a mountain outside of Los Angeles, and I found this ant that was basically the length of, a little bit longer than the length of my glasses from here to there. And it had 3 fucking prongs on its back ass. And I just picked it up, and I licked it. No, I didn't touch the fucking thing. So anyway, that was, like 10 or 15 years ago, they discovered a new species of insect, and of all places, Central Park. You know, the saying, the song, if I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. Well, if you can discover a new species in New York, then you can find one anywhere. All right? Maybe they wrote the song. Maybe the song is like prophetic. They knew this shit was going to go down. Okay, where am I? Sasquatch is a biped that roams in remote parts of the world. Took a lot of ink there. New monkey creatures being discovered all the time. Then you research these things, right? Okay? So you're into this kind of thing. I've been into this kind of thing since I was like 10 years old, I guess. So you get on the internet, because that's what you do, and you start researching the Sasquatch. And first, I don't know how they do this, but it just seems to order you find this shit. It makes perfectly good sense. It's almost like a progression, but you're not looking for a progression. It just kind of happens, right? First, you're reading shit about this monkey roaming around the northern part of the United States, southern part of BC, whatever. The nickname for Vancouver Island is Sasquatch Island. They didn't call it Sasquatch Island because nobody found the Sasquatch there. They named it Sasquatch Island because apparently the place has a relatively large Sasquatch population. Okay. Now, I'm reading about these fucking creatures, right? And gradually, it just changes. And like 7 or 10 videos into this shit, what you've discovered is these fuckers believe that aliens in outer space, not everybody obviously, sent these Sasquatch here to meander around and maybe take notes or something. And they're preparing for the invasion. The Sasquatch are here preparing us for the motherfucking invasion of the UFOs. So this is interesting because if you ever watched The $6 Million Man back in like 1977 or so, they did an episode on Sasquatch, and it actually turned to be very similar to this bullshit I'm talking about right here. Now, okay, here's my point. A big monkey that can outmaneuver us, like anybody should be able to believe that one. But somehow, once they get you into it, eventually you end up with this incredible creature that's beamed down here just like Scotty and Captain Kirk, and basically is taking notes on us. It's pretty fucking crazy. Here's the scenario. Why does this happen? Why? Because the Sasquatch who has been beamed to planet Earth to do research, this is very marketable. Okay? So in other words, we start with an idea. I have 5 dynamics here. Let's go through the dynamics. Number 1, an idea. True or not, right? And we're not talking about Sasquatch, right? You got that. Number 2, someone sees marketing potential. Okay? Number 3, begin to apply ideas, concepts to make the product marketable. Number 4, it is focused and refocused to meet newly established goals. In other words, they're making this creature in the image of what is most palatable, what is going to make us most curious. You know, what's basically going to give someone the best ratings, right? Number 5, truth has been successfully replaced by bullshit. Now, the point here is emotionally, we are just like the Yeti. We change and refocus ourselves to become members of a cloned society. This is the invasion of the body snatchers. I mean, I was watching these commercials recently from like 1975, 1974. And the people in the commercials were so authentic. And I'm thinking, you turn on the TV and you see these characters today, they're not authentic. Apparently, the liquor store, the poster, they have advertising, you know, of all these people smiling, right? You've seen it outside. Now, personally, I think they should have a bunch of street people just fucked out of their minds, puking up all over the place. I think that would really be, good marketing strategy. Say, hey, they think, no, seriously, I think it would be. It's like, fuck, man, at least I'm not like that. As opposed to these people who are obviously far more controlled than we are when we're drinking. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's like, okay. But apparently the poster had to be recalled and refinished because there was a little bit of dirt under somebody's fingernail. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I heard it's true, and I'm pretty sure it's true. I could be lying to you. But the point is the same. We are living in a society that is violently attempting to take away our individuality. You know, the sixes love this one. We are just like the Yeti. We change and focus ourselves to become members of a cloned society. And it continues. We are far more like a product now than we were 40 years ago. You know what was great 40 years ago? If I ever invent a time machine, I'm going back 40 years ago to get, let's change the name of the brand, Kevin's Chicken. Kevin's Chicken. Now here's the scenario with Kevin's Chicken. Okay? 40 years ago, they had a secret recipe because it was so fucking good. Now, today, they have a secret recipe because if somebody finds out what the fuck you're eating, somebody's going to jail. See, it's still a secret recipe. I got my own secret recipe for this. It's water. Don't ask what the secret is. Okay, Yeti. Oh, no, actually says yet. Yet, did you ever notice how like yet and Yeti are almost the same word? It's just one I. Who puts the I in Yeti? Right? Put the I in yet. There's an I in something here. Anyway. After this sermon, there will be no Yetis. Apparently, I heard this story that Nathan Wiley, you know Nathan, the singer from Prince Edward Island? Somebody told me that Nathan Wiley saw a Sasquatch in Prince Edward Island. And I thought, well, there's no Sasquatch in Prince Edward Island. There's no fucking trees in Prince Edward Island. Where do? They hide in a Holiday Inn? So, I'm thinking that's the most ridiculous. Every time I think that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard, it turns out to be true. Every fucking time. There's just something about me. If I ever say, no, seriously, it's the truth. There's no fucking, that means I'm wrong. Every time I'm absolutely positive. Because I looked up the top 20 Sasquatch videos, the top 20 videos that's supposed to be true, right? Authentic. And Nathan was there. Like with his video. I mean, he's a rock star. So that might account for part of it. I don't know. His debut, all we can tell, just in case Nathan sees this, Nathan Wiley's debut album is as good as any debut album by a Maritimer. Maybe, I don't know, ever. Great album. Dynamics. Okay, this is the way we're supposed to do life. As opposed to, shit sandwich without the bread kind of thing. Dynamics. Idea. You are God's idea. Okay, the last list we had, an idea, true or not, right? Now it's, fuck that. You are idea. You are God's idea. Number 2, someone sees marketing potential in you. So God has created you to be authentic, to be real. Somebody sees marketing potential in you, just like the fucking Sasquatch, right? Number 3, instead of them changing you, you address the situation. Now, everybody in this room, to one extent or another, is caught in a situation where you were supposed to be one way, and to one extent or another, you want to be a different person. However, you want to keep your job. You want to function. Right? If you don't, then that's a different sermon. That one's on self-destruction. How do we deal with this? Well, we have prayer. We have love. Love. Not only is love a powerful weapon, not only does love resonate with people, but love is the source of creativity. And love restructures our mindset. Love is more than a word. It's more than a feeling. Love actually restructures the way we see life. Okay? So in other words, your boss, who's a bit of a shit, is not a fucking asshole. He is somebody you can prayerfully consult your maker and find new ways of dealing with the situation. So the situation needs prayer, it needs love, it definitely needs community. If you don't have someone to talk to, the most wonderful people in the world, if they're left to their own initiative and have no one to talk to, they're going to go fucking crazy. The movie Grizzly Adams was based on a real man, actually. He probably saw a Sasquatch or two in his time. And the thing with Grizzly Adams, in the movie, in the TV series, he was like calm and placid, in sync with the universe, right? He was alone, living with nobody besides a bear. And apparently the guy went crazy. And it's that simple. That's what happens to us. We need each other to communicate with. Now, I remember back in the mid-90s, somebody who was a member here would give me their cottage for 4 or 5 days a year. And one time in particular, I remember, I went 4 or 5 days saying, I think it was 3 or 4 words to another human being. And that was like heaven. Okay, but you can't do that forever. There is a law of diminishing return, and then it starts going backwards. We are not meant to be islands to ourselves. God created us to be in community, to talk to each other, to come to this whole thing, man. Like if you have a boss, who's an asshole, the whole idea of resolving this in love and coming to a place where you are better off, he is better off, and the situation's better off because you just didn't fucking blow a fuse. This is an incredible thing. And this is one of the reasons why we've been put down here. Your situations are not supposed to derail you. We might get captured by the Nazis or something like that, and we get killed. Sure, that's beside the point. Your situations in life are there to teach you. They are your Zen master. Like Chantel and I always talk about Lila being Chantel's Zen master, right? Well, that's the way it is. And yes, I see that hand. Praise the Lord. Prayer, love, community, boundaries / wisdom. You understand how boundaries and wisdom go together. I don't have to explain that one, right? Your boundaries are your wisdom, and your wisdom are your boundaries. So let's go through this again. There's an idea, right? Someone sees marketing potential. Some fucking asshole wants to hurt you. They want to use you. No question about that. That's what happens. Then there's how you deal with it. Instead of them changing you, you address the situation with prayer, love, community, boundaries. Number 4, you fit in better than old self, not a cheap imitation. People are dying. Just keep away from religious people. They will hurt you. Really. But most human beings, like back in 1985, 84, when I worked in a parking lot, right? See, that was an opportunity. And what I did was I created a game show. There was these men working in this building this huge building. And these were tough guys, tough, rugged guys. And what I did was I got all these little presents from around my house and other such places, sort of like that CD. And I asked these people skill testing questions. And if they got it right, they got a prize. And it got to the point where they wouldn't leave unless they had their little skill testing question. And we played our little show. And I did variations of this. I remember once with Paul, I did it in a restaurant. This is the 80s, right? Before civilization kind of like fell apart. I don't know if we were supposed to take this shit now, but you get my point, right? There is a creative solution. God is offering you a creative solution. But saying, fuck this, he's an asshole, and getting a gun. The gun, just in case you're wondering, the gun doesn't make things better, it makes things worse. Until then, it's just punching some asshole in the face. You get a gun and blow him away, it's at least 3 weeks in jail. Fit in better than old self, not a cheap imitation. Number 5, you are a truth teller with method, not a bullshit artist. Right? You got that? You are made to be a truth teller with method. You understand the difference between a truth teller and a truth teller with method. Truth teller is you have a fucking lousy haircut. Truth teller with method is, oh, that's a nice, can I help you with this? Can I trim a little bit off for you? I got a degree in this shit. How about if you let me experiment a little bit? You see what I mean? Like anybody can say you're an asshole, and you're probably right. God is offering us creative solutions in virtually every situation. Sometimes it's just the end. But basically, generally speaking, God is offering you a creative decision, a creative alternative, a creative choice. So, back to the Yeti. I just want to say no Yetis were harmed in the making of this video. Amen.